recording here. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Albert.College Junior School Open House, virtual open house. My name is Sarah Harvey, and I am an Enrollment Management Associate here at Albert.College. So I help everyone, all families interested in day student admissions or any of our Canadian borders. So obviously that's our whole junior school as they're all day students. So we have some amazing panelists tonight who are going to answer some questions. And if you have any other questions that you're interested in knowing or anything else you want to know, please feel free to pop those into our chat room on the side, and we'll get to those at the end of our session. We'll answer your questions. So I'll introduce our panelists. We have Anne Beveridge, and she's our junior school principal. So I'll give her a minute to introduce herself in a minute. Heather Kidd, who is our director of enrollment management, and she's going to talk a little bit about the enrollment process and our bursary program and financial aid and things like that. Darlene Hurt, who's a current parent here of Annika in grade 6 and Elliot in grade 8. So she'll be speaking on behalf of current parents. And then Miss Janelle Kirk, who is our grade 1 teacher here at the junior school, who's been here for a pretty long time. So she knows lots about the goings on here. So yeah, throughout the presentation, I'll be monitoring the chat room. So please feel free to ask any questions. We are recording this session just so we can use it to look back on and send to you guys if you want to look at it again or share. And we'll go from there. Anne, I'll turn it over to you.
Helps if you turn off your mute or turn on. So thank you very much, Sarah. My name is Anne Beveridge, and I'm the junior school principal here at Albert.College. This is actually my first year at Albert.College. I've come from another independent school in Ontario, where I was for about 5 years. And this is my third independent school in Ontario. And in the past, I've worked in China, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Korea, and most recently Germany. And I'm thrilled to be back in Canada, going on for our 6th year. And I feel like coming to Albert.College was probably one of the best things I ever did in terms of my professional life, working with the people that I am fortunate enough to be with each and every day, people like Janelle and Heather and Sarah. It's just an incredible faculty who really, really cares about our kids. And I have a daughter, a 10-year-old daughter. And again, that's one of the things that I was looking for as a parent as well, was to have my child in a place where I knew that she would be supported, where she'd be pushed when she had to be pushed, where she'd be nurtured, where she'd be cared for. And I feel like that's exactly what we've stepped into here. And I think that really speaks to what our philosophy is at Albert.College. It's a place where, we do have very high expectations of our students. And I think that's important. And because if you don't have high expectations, there's nothing for your children to rise to. But having said that, it's not a one way or the other. We have an incredibly nurturing and caring faculty. And I think the ethos of the school is just that. So we really focus on what we call our core values, and you can read about them on the website. But that's when we talk about individuality, when we want children to really strive for excellence, strive to be the best that they can be. We talk about compassion, where children develop empathy and care for their community, care for each other. We talk about inclusiveness. We want everyone to feel that they belong to a safe and caring community. And I'm missing one. I'm going to check my integrity, of course. How could I forget that? Integrity. So we want to foster that understanding that it's important to be a principled person. It's important to be a principled learner. It's important to do the right thing even when no one else is looking. And we embed that approach into our curriculum and the ways in which that we communicate and speak to our children. And in doing so, we're all speaking the same language. It's a very consistent approach across the school. And I think you could probably ask any child in the school what the core values are, and they would probably do better than me. So they understand what those are. And one of the things that we've really been focusing on this year specifically, I can only speak to this year, is really making sure that those core values are embedded in our approach to curriculum as well. So we really focus on always continuing to develop our pedagogy, our instruction, our approach to curriculum, and ensuring that we integrate those core values into that approach. We're really focused this year on developing what I would say is a more conceptual approach to curriculum, where students aren't just learning the content, but they're learning about the bigger picture so that they can take those ideas and apply them in different areas and in different ways and further develop their critical thinking skills. It's one of the things we know about what our kids are going to face after they leave our walls is that we don't know what they're going to face when they leave our walls. We don't know what kind of jobs we're preparing our kids for. And, how do we do that? If we try to educate our children in the way that we were educated, or our parents or grandparents were educated, then we're really depriving them of what they might have tomorrow. So, we really try to maintain a balance of, what's important in terms of content, what types of things do we want our kids to know, but how do we apply those things to new and novel situations? How do we foster their critical thinking skills? How do we inspire curiosity in our children so that they take that with them for the rest of their lives? It's not a small job, but it's something we take very, very seriously, but something that I think, approach with great joy. We want kids to find the joy in their learning, and we think that holds them in good stead, well, really for the rest of their lives. So I'll stop there because I could go on a little bit about this. But I thought what I might do is just start asking both Janelle and Darlene some questions that have been posed by past attendees, as well as picking up on some of the things in the chat box as well. Okay, does that sound all right, Sarah? Okay, so I'd like actually to start with Darlene, if that's okay. So you've been your kids have been at Albert, is it for 2 years now?
This would be their second year. So we've had 1 full year and a half a year.
Right. So you can speak to both the junior school and the senior school. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering, when you first made the decision to come to Albert.College, what led you to us, and what sort of impact do you think having your kids at Albert.College has had on your children?
Well, it was a bit of a journey for our family to come. Sort of historically, going to Albert was always something we were thinking about and considering. And it took us a little while to get to that point. But one of the main reasons we started really investigating it sounds like we were planning for a worldwide pandemic, but we weren't. It was actually pre-planned. It just worked out that way. We were struggling with, my son was having some issues in school and learning, socially. There was a bunch of things we were worried about him, but we saw unlimited potential in him, as all parents do in their children. And we just didn't think we were at a school that fit the needs in order to tap into his true talents and the potential he had. So we started to investigate. And what actually, we'd obviously done some thinking about that and some chatting with friends and some research about that. And my husband's background sort of influenced it because he grew up in the private school setting. So he was much more familiar with that than I was. So there was a lot of unknowns. But then I went for our interview day, which I actually said to the gentleman that was showing us, I said, are you just showing me like the very best of the school? Because everybody's so welcoming and everybody's so nice. Kids would stop and greet us, teachers, staff. I'm not even joking. Like, I thought that they were putting on a show. No, it wasn't. It was just a really pleasant environment, and people genuinely seemed to like working there. Students were engaged, pleasant. Now, these were pre-COVID days, so I could actually see everybody's faces. It was unique. And actually, for Annika, we weren't even really thinking about Annika. We knew we were going to send her because it's easier for both kids. But when she went to the junior school, Elliot had to do his interviews. So he was gone writing a test, doing his interviews. So Annika and I went to the junior school, and it was something out of a movie. It was during recess. The kids basically mobbed around her because it's a small school. So a new kid is noted. And then they were trying to figure out what grade was she going into. And when they found out she was going into grade 5, there were fist pumps in the air, like there was cheering. I was like, what is happening? It was great. It was great from the beginning, and it's been wonderful since.
Thanks. I feel it. I feel that warmth every day. And I have to say, that's one of the things I noted when I first moved here, was just how warm and welcoming the community was. And at first I thought, no, this can't be like this all the time. And it really is. So I'm glad someone else felt that way too.
It really is. And actually, one thing you did ask that I didn't answer, I've seen a huge change in our kids. Now, obviously, maturity is going to have something to do with that. It's only been a year and a half. So I get that there's a path that your kids are on. But when I look, especially for my son, which was the main instigator of why we were transitioning schools, he's a completely unrecognizable kid. He is confident. He is motivated. It is cool to be smart. At Albert, it is cool to be smart. They want to be smart. They look highly amongst those that are really intelligent, people that have good study skills. They talk about their learning skills and their study strategies and how they're doing. And it's completely different. It is a complete 180 from where he was before. And, you know, when you talk about the school pushing you, it does, but it doesn't push you in a bad way. It pushes you to be better. And that potential that I felt our son had, I know I see it. And I see him, like, a good example is today, he was concerned with one of his marks he thought should be higher overall than where his report card had indicated, because he's been doing really well on some of his tests. But he took it upon himself to meet with his teacher, to understand the grade, to realize it wasn't a typo. So, and, you know, that never would have happened before. And that's part of that confidence. That's part of that dedication to your grades. That's part of that community where you can approach your teacher and not, you know, not have a conflict. It was just a conversation, but it's brought out the best in both kids. And I just see them blossoming. And that's what I wanted for my kids. And I knew it was possible, and it just wasn't happening. It wasn't the right fit for us. And so it's been great.
That's great to hear. I think one of the things that really characterizes our school is the communication between home and school, and just the ease with which parents can communicate with their teachers and children can communicate with their teachers. And I just thought I'd ask Janelle at this point if you can speak a little bit about that communication between home and school and the interaction, that partnership between home and school as well.
Sure, no problem. So as always, pre-COVID and in the middle of COVID, we have an open door policy. And so I'm always happy to meet with parents, and we're always in constant communication with one another, whether it's via email or phone calls or through our whole school platform that we use called EDSB. We can send out notifications to parents as well as use a chat feature. So in due time, we are able to respond relatively quickly. And it's really wonderful just to be able to have that connection at arrival time and at dismissal time, to touch base with a parent outside and just a quick update on what's going on in the classroom or how their child is doing, and have conversations and check-ins and work together as a team to support our students. You know, we as teachers want the best, and the parents, of course, want the best. And I think it's just a really great opportunity on a daily basis. It doesn't happen every day, but most days we see parents, and we have high expectations for our students, and we know that our parents do as well. And so we just want to make sure that we are really a whole learning team, and, you know, just learning extends beyond the school day as well as during school. We just want to make sure that we have a great tag team of a relationship with our parents.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Janelle, I do think that that's one thing that really stands out for people who are in the Albert community. And I'm just wondering, in your experience, if you could highlight some of the differences that you see between life at Albert.College and in an Albert.College classroom and perhaps other schools in the area.
Sure. How much time do we have? First of all, I think it's really important just that we are such a small school. I find comfort knowing all of the students. I know all the students in my building from junior kindergarten all the way to grade 6. And you know what? They know me as a teacher, even though, you know, I haven't taught Annika. She came after her grade 1 year. I still know who she is, and she knows who I am as well. So I think it's just really important to have that close-knit community. We do have a low student to teacher ratio, and so we can provide the necessary attention to each student that they need in the classroom and outside of the classroom as well. We have really great activity days such as camp day or play day, where pre-COVID we could get together all kinds of different grades, and we would gather in our house leagues. We're separated into kind of 4 different colors, and you might get some grade 3s working with some grade 6s or some grade 4s working with the JK students. And so it's really good to have cross-divisional or cross-grade connections. We also have started implementing something called our A days, which really promote our 5 A's, which are academics, arts, adventure, athletics, and active citizenship. And so these activities, usually right now we are once a month, and these activities are designed to just tap into the students' interest and help them discover new things and provide interactive experience with children from various grades. Although now with COVID, we are doing it in our own classroom. And I think it just really nurtures critical thinking and problem solving and stimulates deeper thinking and deeper learning. We're lucky enough to have both a French and a music specialist teacher. So we have French starting as early as pre-kindergarten, and music as well starting in JK. Band starts in grade 4, but along with music and our specialist teachers, we do performances on stage. And so it's not an option. Kids are involved in this for Christmas pageant, for spring musical, for band, I think I mentioned as well. We also have lots of opportunities that extend beyond the classroom. You know, of course, before COVID, we could go on field trips, but now we have to be a little bit more creative with virtual field trips and tapping into our potential of the parents in our greater community as well. We do lots of STEAM activities. We have coding and robotics. And, you know, each class also does a showcase event where after a culminating point in their learning, they can invite the parents to attend and to see kind of the whole picture of their learning project come to life.
Yep, there's definitely lots going on. You did mention COVID a little bit, and of course, I mean that's the word that we don't want to hear so much these days, and it certainly has had an impact on us and any school. But I'm just wondering, Darlene, if you could speak a little bit about how comfortable you feel with the COVID protocols that we put in place during this pandemic.
Oh, no, it's been great. Like there's been no complaints. There's good communication. I mean, I don't know what more you could do, really. Like it is what it is, and it sounds like it's not going anywhere. So it's been great. Kids have been safe, and they've still had fun, and they still have interaction, and there's still, you know, help from the teachers, and there are some occasional moments where you get to see other kids, which is kind of exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, no, we've worked really hard with that, and you know, making sure our kids are, you know, they have their masks, and we've redone our filters and all sorts of stuff. So I, as someone who's come in from another school, I've been really pleased with how well and how smoothly things have gone, and how little impact it's had on the children's learning during the day-to-day instructional time. It's actually been really lovely to see. So I'm as a parent, I'm pleased. I was just wondering, Darlene, again, if you could tell a prospective parent just one thing perhaps that would help them make their decision about attending Albert College, what do you think it would be?
Oh gosh, well, maybe I can give you a few, but I'll just tell you one thing that as a parent, I never thought of. And I've actually been really surprised at this aspect. So I didn't really think of myself in the equation when we brought our kids to Albert. I only thought of the kids, right? You're so focused on your kid and what's best for your kid and how can I do this for my child? Well, what's actually been a surprise is how many friends I've made in an environment where we're isolated and you're in your little cohorts and there's really not a lot of get-togethers because of COVID, not because of the school. It's been a great environment of getting to know parents because the classes are small, especially in Annika's class. There's a very limited number of girls. So those girls are very close They get along exceptionally well. And in grade 6, you're kind of at the point where girls hang out with girls and boys hang out with boys, and they don't really mix a whole lot yet. So I've really gotten to know those parents, and that's been a huge surprise to me. I think, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll just say it because I'm an open book. But I think I was worried about going to a private school and not fitting in because keeping up with the Joneses concept, but it wasn't like that. I actually was worried about that. I brought that up in the interview with the gentleman that was sort of taking us through the tour. And I have to say, it has been the absolute opposite of that. The people that I have met are so like-minded, have the same motivations. It's been wonderful. So that's maybe not the kid side of it, but from the parent side of it, it was a surprise. I did not expect that. From the kids side of it, well, there's been a lot of great things beyond the fact that, I mean, we've only had a few teacher experience, but they've been great. Speaking about the music specialists, now the time last year was Mr. Mills, and now we've got another awesome specialist music teacher, but that is a great feature. Like what the kids are learning, I never learned that at school. Like the music program is incredible. The fact that you get French from such a young age. So to give you a bit of history, we came from a fully French school. So French is very important to us. I don't speak French. I've always felt at a disadvantage to not speak another language other than English. So French is very important to us as a family. So that was why it took us so long to come to Albert, because I was worried about the French. But the French teacher's amazing. They've been really helpful. You know, Annika in the junior school gets French every day. Right? So that's been important to us because I really don't want them to lose it. We haven't gotten to experience as much the sports, but that's not Albert's fault. That's COVID's fault. And then the constant regulations that change hour to hour, minute to minute. So that's something I'm looking forward to because I know it has so much to offer. Academics have been great. Some of the things that we had never experienced before, and I think this maybe is at other schools, but our school had never participated, is the what is it, the veterans, like where you write the essay, what is that?
The
Legion. So that's great because that's not a mandatory part of the education system, but it pushes the kids to go outside of their comfort zone and start to participate in certain and other activities you wouldn't always participate in. Some of the other fun things that are fun but educational, which I'm all about combining both, is I love the math competition last year where they had to learn their times tables and then they would compete against each other at lunch. Like, yeah, I thought that was awesome. My daughter did not participate and only found out afterwards, but it was a great concept. And Albert has offered a lot of opportunities that my kids are now aware are not optional. They're mandatory. So even if it's optional through Albert, they must participate because it's an experience that they wouldn't otherwise have. And it's thanks to all the faculty and staff that give your time beyond just the classroom to be able to let the kids expand their knowledge, their horizons, their experience to really become that active citizen. So I think it's been a really positive experience for our family.
Great, thank you so much. And I think, Janelle, I've got another question for you. So when you think about the transition from one grade to another, can you speak a little bit to how that's managed or how well the kids cope with that from year to year?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's, again, a really special feature that we are so closely linked with the kids in our school, not only just in our classroom. You know, I share a hallway with grade 1, 2, and 3, and, you know, we share at the end of the hallway our cloakroom. And so, you know, my kids in grade 1, every day they see and they talk to the grade 2 teacher. And so, you know, I can more speak to my own grade. And generally in the springtime, the forthcoming students in SK, they'll come to me for a morning or a day, and my kids will go to the grade 2 teacher. And so they kind of live the life of their next upcoming grade. And so not only do they converse with their future teachers on an upcoming or regular basis, but we do a switch session, and you know what, they really start to build connections throughout the year, and then they kind of get to see what the life is like and see their new classroom and experience, you know, some activities with that new teacher. And so I think it's just really an engaging time that they look forward to. And I think the comfort level is building the entire year because, yes, you know, my students right now, they're in grade 1, but they see and they talk to the grade 2 teacher on a daily basis. And so it's nothing new. So I think the transition from one grade to another, you know, whether it's 4 to 5 or 2 to 3 is really, really streamlined. And I think too, doing, I know that the grade 6s and the grade 7s do some cross-divisional, cross-school activities as well, and they get to meet those teachers coming up as well. Even though we're in separate buildings, they're still familiar before they make that transition.
Thanks, Janelle. And I have one final question for you. Could you speak to how we approach learning support in the junior school and what that might look like?
Sure. So it changes from year to year, but generally we have our learning support staff who transition from each class every day. And so they provide about a 20 to 30-minute block each day where they're either in the classroom working to support the classroom teacher, or in the classroom working in small groups or one-on-one, or in the odd case too, they might pull a student to work in a quieter setting to provide some specialized support. And so currently right now I have our learning support specialist who is building on and working on my phonics program with me. And so she'll come in the morning, and for 30 minutes a day, she is working with my students and doing activities with my students and teaching them as well. And so there's a nice relationship there that our learning support is utilized in many, many different ways, and they wear multiple hats. And they're always happy to help in, like I said, a one-on-one situation for students needing extra support or students needing to be pushed a little bit further, and as well as small group and whole group instructions, they're supportive.
Sorry, I just had a little visitor there. I didn't notice like that coming in. Cats, dogs, name it. Yeah, one of the things I really do like about the approach in learning support is that it's effectively a push-in model, which means that the teacher is going in and working with students in the classroom, and not just working with kids who might be identified, but kids who, you know, just need a little help or is able to team teach with the teacher. And what that means, it's a lot more fluid for children. They're so used to seeing that teacher come and go in the classroom that it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't have significance in terms of setting children apart, which is, you know, something that you want to avoid. So it's a really lovely model. I think at this point, I think, Sarah, we might have some other questions in the chat box that we might want to respond to.
Yeah, I was also just going to chime in a little bit, if I could, about some of the other amenities at the junior school, picking up a bit on some of the COVID protocols and things that we've implemented at the school. I think, you know, being an independent school, we have a bit of autonomy. We've been able to pivot pretty quickly, and the school has been outfitted with all touchless sinks, toilets, water fountains, fill stations, which is pretty unique and safe to us. As well, at the junior school, we have every class has their own bathroom private to them, which is also a pretty amazing infrastructural thing that we were able to implement right away. So I just wanted to highlight that, as well as our nurses. So we have 2 full-time RNs that are employed by Albert.College, and they're here all day, every day. So not only for bumps and bruises and things like that, which are obviously concerns of especially the parents of our young ones just starting school, they're also here to guide us and as we navigate the changes in COVID protocols and making sure that we're doing, you know, going above and beyond every day to keep the kids safe. So, and another question that comes up often, especially from families of our little ones, is food. So you'll never have to pack a school lunch again at Albert.College. Our kids get a snack every morning, hot lunch every day, and then snack in the afternoon, which is a pretty big perk. So that's included in the tuition costs. All our food is made here by Albert.College staff, and we have our own kitchen here at the junior school. And in pre-COVID times, we would all sit together in the Great Hall. The kids would eat at long tables with their teachers at the head of each table. And unfortunately, we're in our classrooms eating that delicious food still, but we hope to move back to the Great Hall soon. So I just wanted to touch on those points, as they weren't asked in the chat, but they're often frequently asked questions. So, moving to the chat, I'll direct this one to you, Anne. Is learning the French language mandatory at the junior school?
It is. So in Ontario, French must be learned as of grade 4. And we're really pleased that we can offer it to our younger learners as well, because what that means is by the time they are in grade 4, 5, 6, their language proficiency is that much higher. We introduce children to French in JK, and it's very, very much play-based. It's fun, it's songs and games, and that continues on really well, actually all the way through. So we have one of our kindergarten teachers actually teaches French in JK and SK, and then we have another French teacher who teaches grade 1 through 6, who's absolutely wonderful. And she incorporates, as Darlene knows, a lot of song and theater and drama, and makes the program really, really engaging for the kids. So it's almost as if they don't know what they're learning while they're learning it, because it's so much fun. I have to say, in my own child who's in grade 5, I've noticed a huge difference in her language acquisition in French since she's been at the school this year. I'm so pleased. I speak French, but not very well anymore. So I'm really, really pleased that she's in a place where she's getting that. It's important to me. You know, we know that having another language is, you know, it's all around good for you. It's good in terms of your brain development. It's good in terms of your opportunities as you mature out, even in the job force. And we know that it does a lot for how you can learn and what you can learn. So I'm really thrilled that we can offer that even to our youngest learners at the junior school.
Thank you. And we just had a new question come in, but we'll answer it now as it's sort of a follow-up to that. But again, Anne, do you find that students coming from the public system, for example, grade 4, catch up in French quickly? I'm assuming if they maybe previously had French instruction.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the child, but we do try really hard to make sure that children who are entering into the program and haven't had the benefit of French, you know, they might be entering, as you say, in grade 4, where that's where they would start in the public system. Because we have you know, our classes are not huge, you know, they're at most, you know, 18 kids in the upper grades, and that's not a huge number. And what that means is the French teacher is able to really differentiate for those students and bring them along. She does give one-on-one support for the kids. She does work with the kids in small groups. And that approach really, really helps the kids come along in the French language. They don't catch up right away. You know, it takes a little bit of time. I don't want to pretend that it's not some work for the children, because it is, but they can do it, and they do it, and they do rise to it. As I said, with my own child, she was quite behind when she came into school, even in grade 5. And she has really flourished in this program. And you know, she's almost at a par with her peers now, and that's because she's so engaged with the program and so engaged in her learning. So it's certainly not something that happens overnight, but it does happen.
Thanks, Anne. This will be, I guess, for Anne or Heather. Maybe we'll just continue with Anne, but are vaccines mandatory for students aged 5 to 11, COVID vaccine?
Yeah, right now they're what we call strongly encouraged for ages 5 to 11. We do know that that's the best defense for us against this virus. We haven't mandated it at this point. I don't know what's going to happen for next year. I don't know how the province is going to respond, how schools are going to respond. So I can't answer. If you're wondering what's going to happen next year, I don't know. But right now we are strongly encouraging our students to be vaccinated. I hope that helps.
Yeah. I'll turn things over to Heather, to Miss Kidd, to talk a little bit about the enrollment side of things. And then if there are any other chat questions, we can answer those at the end. So Heather, I'll just share my screen with you here, share it with everyone.
Thank you. So a few fast facts here, and you know, some are related directly to the junior school, but our hope is, you know, as always, that we are a full whole school, that we start at pre-K and go right through to grade 12. So it is our hope that when people do start in the junior school, you know, that they will continue through and graduate and go on to university. So I think some of the things that we've talked about already about just the transition from, you know, the grade 6s into grade 7, and you know, we do formal dinners when we're not in COVID, but we have, you know, Thanksgiving formal dinner at the school and a Christmas formal dinner where our grade 6s will come over and start being with our senior students. So by the time they actually come into grade 7, they're fully comfortable. It's not like this big castle that they're afraid of. They've been in it. They've met the teachers. They know the teachers. So it's really a great transition. And just the university counseling and things like that happen once you get into that senior school, I think are very, very important. And, the end result is we want the best for our kids. And so, we have 100% of our students go on to the university of their choice. And I know it's a long way out for many of you that are here on this call tonight, but I think it's very important, and our kids at grade 12 are getting an average of 6 acceptances to top universities. And so they really do have choices. So, the continuity from starting at the junior school and flowing through to our senior school is second to none. So I just wanted to say that. I have a son who's now 32 years old, and he actually started in grade 3 at the junior school when we first initiated the junior school. So as a parent, I can honestly say firsthand just how great that junior school was, and going through graduating from grade 12. So that was just a little plug for the continuity into the school. So the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about, we are the oldest co-ed boarding and day school in Canada. So we've been around for a while. I think we know what we're doing. So we started in 1857. And I love it when kids come into our senior school and they come into our dining hall for the first time and they're like, wow, it's like Harry Potter, right? So it really is, fantastic buildings, fantastic grounds. We this year have 131 kids in our junior school. So it's great to see, despite the pandemic, that we have so many students here with us. So how do you apply? So everything is fully online. So please check out our website. I'm sure many of you have, because you had to register in order to be part of this open house tonight. But we do require a completed application. There is a $100 application fee. We do ask for 2 years academic reports. There is a teacher evaluation to be submitted, and that actually is also online. And then we do set up a Zoom call with the principal or the class teacher, depending on the grade. And then we're very, very quick at being able to get decisions out to our students. And so usually after you've done your interview, it's usually within about a week to 10 days that we're able to get back to you with our decision. Oh, I have to, my little 18-year-old Sadie dog is here saying, now I want to go out, of course, because now is when I have to talk. So Sadie, stop. People have asked us before, do we have, tuition aid? Do we have scholarships? And we do everything we can to make Albert.College affordable to as many people as possible. So we have over $500,000 that we award annually to our students and our families. 32% of our kids here in our families receive some form of tuition assistance. So for students in JK to grade 12, we do have aid. You can go online, and we work with Apple Financial Services. So that's based on family needs. So there is an application that you complete. Apple Financial Services plugs in their formula. They come back to us with an amount that, based on the information that you supplied them, what they feel could be awarded in tuition. And then that goes in front of our tuition aid committee. And then we try to divvy out, the aid to as many families as we can to make it possible for as many families to attend as possible. If you are if you are in grade 6 and you are then entering in the senior school into our middle school in grade 7, we do have scholarships available. So there is a scholarship application, and that is available for grade 6s transitioning into grade 7, and that's based on merit. So we do look at the 5 A's, and we realize that sometimes if you're coming from a different system, you maybe haven't had a chance to do some of the adventure programs and some of the active citizenship. So we do take that into consideration, but certainly we do have a number of scholarships available for students who are coming into grade 7 into our senior school. If you do receive a scholarship, That is renewable each year, as long as the student remains in good standing with our community. And as far as the tuition aid, which is through Apple Financial, that is something that every year you do reapply for. But that does continue until you graduate, unless you win $1 million, and then that might change. But we do try to continue that and try to make it, affordable so your students can continue right through to the end. So it is, it is very doable. We do what we can to make it available to all of our families who are applying to Albert. And as you know, Sarah works with our junior school applicants. So please feel free to email her, to talk to Anne, to talk to me. We're here to help you, any of the teachers. I know that Darlene is there if you have any questions as a new parent. So we really, really appreciate you coming on here tonight, and hope that we've given you a little bit more insight into how Albert.College Junior School works. So please feel free to ask us any more questions, and to contact Sarah or Anne or any one of us if you have any further questions.
Heather, while we were looking at that presentation, we do have one more question. Oh, two more questions here that I'll maybe direct to Anne as well. How many students are currently in grade 3, for example? And we're just wondering about class sizes. Should they choose to send their child entering into grade 4 in September? Oh, can't hear you, Anne, sorry.
Sorry about that. We'd be really happy to have more kids in grade 4, because grade 3 is currently our smallest class. So we have a lot of room for growth in that class. So yeah, we'd be very happy to meet you and happy to talk to you. I think we have about 9 children in that class right now, so it's quite small. Yeah, are there any other questions about that, or?
Yeah, what are the timelines for applications? So I could speak to that a little bit. We run on a rolling admissions cycle. Again, we do keep our class sizes relatively small. Some classes are bigger than others. And so it would really depend on what grade you're applying to as to how quickly you need to act. So the short answer is as soon as possible, just to give yourselves and your family the best chance to make that choice. But we are always here. So as she's saying, grade 6 in September. So grade 5, our current grade 5 is actually our biggest class right now at the junior school. They're sitting at around 17 kids. 18 is our max, as Anne said. So it would be a coveted spot. And that's expecting that all of our students are going to return, all of our current students, which we don't doubt they will. But yeah, we're run on a rolling admissions cycle, but basically sooner rather than later. Our current families are going to soon have to commit for the next year. And then our spots will start filling up pretty quickly. So that's all the chats. If anyone had any other chats, now's your chance. Oh, and when is payment due for the following year? So we could work with different financial plans based on families and what works best for you. Our standard plan is that we would have you all settled up by September before your child starts. So first payments are usually in March. You'd have another one in the summer just to get you all settled up before your child started the next grade. We do have a monthly payment plan option. And again, being such a small school, our finance office is always keen to work with families to work with what fits best with you and would make you feel the most comfortable. So I hope that answers everyone's questions. We'll be able to send out this recording so you can look back on it if you want. Please feel free to email any of us anytime. We're always here. Wishing we could have this in person. And yeah, we'll sign off, I guess, for tonight. Wishing everybody a lovely evening, and thank you to our panelists for taking their time this evening too. I think that's it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Janelle. Thanks, Darlene.
Thank you.